Hey, what's going on everyone? Ida here with The Literal Life. Welcome to my channel if you happen to be new. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe. In this episode, I'm going to keep the momentum going with homeschooling because it's quite the hot topic. I just got finished doing a 90+ minute webinar with whom I'm going to dub as the homeschooling queen, Kristi Clover. Hopefully her name is familiar to you. If not, or if you're new to the homeschooling community, welcome. But I'm gonna go ahead and leave her link in the description below. This episode, I really just want to give you my takeaways from the webinar. Hopefully she could be a resource for you. She's a great resource of mine. So if you would like to continue on watching, I greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, well, thank you so much for tuning back in. And like I had shared, I just got finished doing a webinar with Kristi Clover and with other, new homeschooling parents. I left this webinar encouraged, and so I wanted to do this YouTube video for those of you who may not have a list of resources or your top favorite homeschooling moms. I mean, there's so many out there, and I hope throughout this journey that I myself can expand my list as well. I'm just choosing Kristi Clover because I've been following her for a while. She definitely is kind of the face, if you will, for many of us new homeschooling parents. I started that collection of parents who have been homeschooling for quite a long time. Another thing that I found with Kristi was how encouraging and inspiring she is. I mean, she is genuinely wanting to help a lot of us new homeschooling parents, teaching us the things that she wished she knew when she first started. And so I have a notebook here that I'm going to be reading off some takeaways that I had with the webinar. Now, at the beginning of the webinar, we started, with just some great reminders. These actually relate to me, and I know for myself personally, I could definitely work on, and it's not just for homeschooling. I can take these in my life. So fasting from social media, don't do it just because someone uses it, and she's referring to curriculum, but you don't need to be ready. I know, and throughout the conversations that I've had with other parents that are also transitioning into homeschooling, we just feel this need to be ready because that's what we expected from teachers in the public school, is that they're just always ready for the school year. And so we don't need to feel like we need to be ready. And with that being said, I felt that this next point just hit the nail on the head for me. Don't compare homeschool to public school. Don't compare homeschool to public school. And that's what I've been doing. I know many other parents, when we're in our forums, we're just kind of like, well, this is what was going on in public school and da-da-da-da-da. And that sometimes can transition into a negative conversation, at least for me. But I liked that point of not comparing homeschool to public school. I mean, this is a whole new journey, a whole new adventure, and that's the focus that I'm going to keep with this. Start slow, don't rush. I know that, okay, well, with these YouTube videos, I can talk really, really fast, and I don't know how many takes I've done so far, but if I can just slow my brain down, just kind of digress in a sense of there's no need to rush. And I know with that, I wouldn't want my children to be rushed. Ooh, I'm comparing. But I'm going to compare just one time. The expectation of, and what is delivered to my children in public school is that, they're not rushed. Yes, they need, they need to be able to learn certain things during that time set. With homeschooling, we really have that, we have that control, but we also have that freedom of just allowing our child or our children to progress at their own speed. So that was the last point that I really liked. So it's so refreshing to know that, just these 5 points that Kristi had pointed out, I was like, ooh, light bulb, kind of some things that I definitely want to work on. And I'm glad that they were pointed out now rather than later, because I already know once I get into homeschooling that I'm going to find maybe some bad habits, maybe some traits I didn't know. But this small list so far, I have some time, a small window of time, but I have some time to, just kind of work on them. What is your why for homeschooling? I don't have a why. I need to work on that. So in my next video, that is what I'm going to share. And so Kristi did emphasize that for all of us, is to think of our why, write it down, and commit to it. Go back to it. I do that in bodybuilding, and I will talk about me in bodybuilding in another video as well. But really quick on that, I have to have my why as to why I'm bodybuilding, and it keeps me focused. It keeps me disciplined, and so it was really nice to hear her, reiterate that, because I practice that in my fitness regimen and other aspects of our lives. She also touched on curriculum, and if those of you who are looking for more of a Christian-based type homeschool, or if you're not, Kristi Clover will still be able to be a great resource for you. I found it very helpful to know, or refreshing to know, that I could still incorporate Bible study and how I could bring Christian values and learning into homeschooling. So I'm really excited to incorporate that as well. Some reminders that came out of the webinar that were also very encouraging is one thing that I am going to look into, which is character training before academics. I'm excited to learn more about the character training aspect. She reminds all of us to make time for either our marriages or our relationships, make sure that we are nurturing them. Homeschooling is going to be something that we need to be all in on, and so she definitely encourages kind of, blocking off time. I think I made a note of it here of guarding your schedule is how she calls it. Making your family your #1 priority. But yes, guard your schedule. I do this with bodybuilding when I'm on prep. I have to just say, hey, I'm, no social events. Well, I guess that's another positive with COVID. But again, nurture your relationships. And then she also keyed in on making sure you're making time for yourself. I have to balance and incorporate my gym time and, getting my meals in. So this is going to be a whole new dynamic for us with, scheduling homeschooling, scheduling our gym time, and so forth. But as far as curriculum was concerned, Kristi Clover, she comes from a Christian background, and so she definitely shares a lot of both secular, non-secular curriculums. And so there were some great questions asked of curriculums for those who are not doing traditional homeschooling. And so if you are interested in either or, I still think that Kristi Clover would be a great resource for you. And I guess to kind of close this out, streamlining. I am all about simplicity. I feel like if I can just keep things simple in my life, that I can get more done. And so be encouraged to just go all in, and then, you know, be able to kind of reflect on what you're doing for that week, or how your lessons were going, and then streamline. It's very simple, but it's, again, something that, you know, you need to be intentional with. And I felt like that, you know, with everything that I learned in this webinar, again, a great investment. I came back with so many great ideas and notes of things that I know I can work on, and that I feel is going to help me be prepared. I'm excited to continue on with this, and hopefully this helps you when you are needing to, you know, find encouragement and, you know, any tools that you can use.